can honestly say this is probably the most excited I've been to come to the range in a long time, and the reason is I have been waiting to get my Dominion Arms DA50 caliber 50 BMG out to the range, and here we are. It's a beautiful day, all by myself, and I got the range to myself, and I'm just gonna enjoy it and get this puppy out here. So let's get it put together and see what we can do. So the upper comes just as this piece, this one piece here. Comes in, everything's all separate. The bolt comes out. You do have to get a separate AR lower. I just bought the Dominion Arms lower that they sell right at Canada Ammo. It's only 150 bucks. So I mean, if you're just gonna make a dedicated lower like I am for this gun, buy the cheap one. Make it all Dominion Arms. That's keeps it all in the same family. I'm just gonna put this bipod on here. Now this is just a cheap little bipod. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but it's just gonna help me hold the front of the gun up in the air here. Well, I put everything together. Now, if you hadn't seen my assembly video, click here. You'll see it. I did an assembly video because this thing takes a little bit of work to actually go on this thing. And it's simple stuff, just like you have to put on a bigger hammer, which has a heavier mainspring, and that's because these 50 BMG primers require a lot of force to go off, and a regular AR hammer and mainspring is not going to do it. So click on that link right there and you'll see that video, and you'll see how you put it together, and there are a few steps you have to do. So next thing, let's just take out the takedown pins here. We'll stick it on our front spot. Make sure it's lined up here. There we go. Put it in our back spot.
That's what she said.
Make sure everything's lined up. We want to make sure this thing is as tight as can be, because it is a big gun and takes a lot of power. Now, my scope. I just have my Burris full field 4.5 to 14. It's the only good scope I've ever purchased. I don't do too much rifle shooting, but I've used this in a lot of videos, and it's turned out to be a good gun. I'm just going to stick it on there just for the moment. We're just going to set it down, and then I'll work on it later. Alright, let's get you down out of the way a little bit. Nextly, there is this, the limb saver, which this is one of the most cushy things. It makes those like foam pillows and foam mattresses look like a brick, because this is like so gooey and squishy. I really hope that my shoulder doesn't fall off firing this thing today. Now this is actually a pretty tight squeeze, so it doesn't go on super easily. I may actually have to make a cut here and come back after I get it on, not make you sit through me friggin' with this thing for the next 5 minutes. There we go. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. There, so we got the limb saver on. We got our bipod on. Let's just take a look down here and see what our sight picture is with this thing. I mean, this is so cool, this gun. What do I have now, I just have a target set up at the 100-yard mark. I do have a little surprise for later sitting out at the 200-yard, but I am going to just sight this thing in for 100 yards, which I know is pitiful for a 50 BMG. Alright, now, the bolt. Let's get the bolt in here, the final piece. These microfiber cloths are great. They pick up a lot of the excess, but still leave on a good coat of that oil. Okay. So, now, important part is bolt handle out. So this piece just slips right in the side. Right here, we're going to put the hammer down. Now we have to take out the rear takedown pin. Set this thing up in the air a little bit. Alright, so the whole thing just slides right in. Line everything up. Just like so. And then we get our bolt handle, and it should just screw right into place. Just comes off. Takedown pin snaps back in. Make sure that gun's locked in there nice and tight, which it is. And I will say it's not the smoothest action ever. It is a very tight squeeze to get back into this buttstock, so it does require a little bit of force, especially going forward if you come back very far. Anything past there is right there at the very back. I'm sure as I use it more, it will actually lighten up. So now the very important part. Let's fire this puppy. I'm gonna get the camera set up. I'm kind of nervous, I really am. It's a big gun. It's a big caliber. I've never fired it before. Look at the size of these things. I mean, you know, here's a picture of one of these beside a .22 long rifle. If you don't really know how big they are, they just dwarf any other regular round. And I say regular round, it's not really a regular round. It's really just a military antimatter type round. But hey, we like playing with the fun stuff too, so civilians get to use this type junk as well. All right, I'm gonna get my ears and eyes on, set my cameras up, and let's fire this beast. All right, I'll admit it, I'm really nervous. I have a really big cartridge in there and a really big gun in my hands. I've never shot one of these before. The scope isn't sighted in at all, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when I pull the trigger for the first time. But no more being a pussy. I guess I'm going to put the safety on first. This is probably a good practice, because you definitely don't want this thing going off when you're not ready for it. So, without further ado, here goes nothing. Make sure my limb saver is where it needs to be. All right, let's do this. Man up. Here it comes. Safety off. Woo! That's awesome. Holy smokes, it's powerful. It's just, that's the only word I can use to explain it. It's just powerful. It's, you know, you can tell by the equipment that you have how heavy it is, the size of the rounds and everything. It's nothing to mess with. This is big boy toys right here, big stuff. And, you know, the most amazing part about it, if you watched my assembly video, is the price. You can get a full-fledged, well-working 50 BMG for about 2,400 bucks. 2,400 bucks, scope and everything, if you want, you know, my burris. Which, this is a great scope, and it comes with a lifetime warranty, which is why I threw it on this thing, because if it gets screwed up, then whatever, I'll send it back to Burris, and they'll send me a new one. As long as it's, if you don't smash it with a hammer, they'll fix it. So I was like, all right, I'll slap it on here. Let's see what happens. So if I break it, so be it. It's a great scope for probably up to a couple hundred yards. I don't know if you'd want to be shooting 400 plus yards with it. 14 power, you're gonna have a hard time seeing stuff past that anyway. So, all right, I have my Visi color target down there. I believe my scope is sighted in fairly close. So let's take a shot here. Alright, you know what? I got this thing sighted in now. Now we're just going to have some fun. We're going to see the true power of the 50 BMG. And if you're wondering what BMG stands for, it doesn't stand for big motherfucking gun like you think it does. It actually stands for Browning machine gun. But I say we change it because when you look at it, that's a big motherfucking gun. So, way out there, I shouldn't say way out there, it's only 200 yards. But I'm going to set my camera up. I made a wall of concrete, and it's just some cinder blocks stacked on top of each other, and we're going to fire this 50 BMG at it, and we're going to tear it down with some really big ammunition and make some really big holes. Check it out. What a gun. What a gun. What fun. The limb saver has saved my limbs. The muzzle brake has broke my muzzle. It has just been crazy. Crazy fun. Bolt face. Everything's still intact. Let's go take a look at the wall and we'll call it a day. It's about 200 yards. And once I got this gun sighted in, that wall just got picked apart. There's nothing left of it, just rubble. I wouldn't even think on the back side you would have been safe. There was the one block that survived. This little guy here, he will go home with me as the lone survivor. The rest, you will hit the refuse, and you are now all that is left of my wall.